Last season, Polaris introduced the PRO-RMK 174 as the only competitor for Skidoo's Summit 174. And despite the fact that last season Skidoo introduced the G4 platform across almost their entire Summit lineup, but chose to leave their 174 in the old XM chassis, we still thought a 174 shootout would be a good idea and something our viewers would appreciate. The results of that shootout were pretty clear. The PRO-RMK made a better 174-inch mountain sled than the XM-based Summit 174. However, nearly every area that the XM Summit fell behind the PRO-RMK, we speculated a G4-based Summit 174 could potentially move ahead of it. But as always, we have to stick to our rules for a shootout and use only sleds that are available at the time of the shootout. In that case, it was the 174 XM-based Summit. Now though, Skidoo has done exactly what we suspected they would do. For 2018, the longest Summit model you can get from Skidoo, or any other OE for that matter, is the new Summit G4 175. Today, we're going to revisit our 174 shootout, but this time we're going to use Polaris's 2018 800 PRO-RMK 174 and Skidoo's new 850 Summit X 175. To get started, let's look at last year's 174-inch shootout winner, the PRO-RMK 174. Polaris's 800 clean fire mill really is an overachiever at altitude. It's got stellar bottom end, strong mid-range, and pulls super hard up top. It produces power that easily spins the 174 by 3-inch Series 7 track in even the heaviest snow, which is all very good, but another trait this motor exhibits that we absolutely love is how fast it revs. Simply put, it's snappy and responsive, which makes it really fun and easy to ride. Polaris's 800 uses a semi-direct injection system that makes it start and idle smooth and run clean and crisp at any altitude. It also uses a precisely controlled electronic oil pump that helps with longevity and keeps oil consumption low. Polaris has always stood by their statement that a mountain sled works best when it's rigid. Their claim is that a rigid chassis more effectively transfers the rider's weight placement and movements into the snow, which in turn requires less energy from the rider and is therefore less tiring to ride. And we've found this to be true. A Polaris RMK is a very responsive chassis that leaves the rider feeling very connected to the sled. Combine this with its relatively low weight and you've got a sled that's extremely predictable and easy to control. Ergonomically, the consensus from our crew is that the RMK is darn close to perfect. The seat is small but comfortable when you need to sit. The handlebars are just tall enough and just wide enough. They're also a great shape, and the additional bar end hooks feel better than a handlebar with curved ends in our opinion. Maneuvering your body around this sled is easy, and we didn't once find anything we wanted to change or anything that got in our way. From a features standpoint, most mountain sleds are pretty sparse, the RMK included. On a PRO-RMK 174, you'll get a basically non-existent windshield, a nice gauge package, Polaris's gripper skis, a small storage area in front of the gauge, and a small storage bag under the seat, and that's about it. The last area of the RMK that I think is worth mentioning is the suspension. Polaris's Mountain Skid does a great job of providing lift and offering excellent deep snow handling. A full set of adjustable, remote reservoir, and piggyback Walker Evans shocks gives you the ability to finely tune both the front and rear ends of the sled to work exactly how you want them to. On trail, the RMK's ride is harsh at best, but off trail, it rides great. For 2018, Skidoo's longest summit is all new, and I do mean all new. The G4 platform is not just a remake of the XM. It's a completely 100% new sled that shares only the rear suspension and a few minor components with its older counterpart. It also includes Skidoo's new 850 mill that's controlled by Generation 2 E-Tech direct injection technology, which is hands down the best engine control technology in the industry. The 850 starts like it's connected to your brain. Of course, it's a monster down low. It pulls super hard. It's got stout mid-range and good top end. All of this goodness is simply accentuated by the new P-Drive primary clutch that allows for instantaneous backshifts and near perfect clutch performance in all conditions at all throttle levels. The Gen 4 chassis is all new, and it pushes the boundaries of snowmobile chassis layout even farther than the XM platform did. To call this one rider forward would be a little bit of an understatement. When the rider stands as far forward as possible, they are standing directly on top of or even slightly ahead of the drive axle. At first, this feels awkward and wrong, but once given a chance, you quickly adapt to it and it becomes more natural. The front end of the G4 addresses the most nagging issue we had with the older chassis, which was the weak bulkhead. The new setup is strong and durable, so there's no more worrying about bumping a tree or stump and bending your sled. We've talked about this many times before. T-Motion makes a Summit mountain sled incredibly easy to get on its side and keep on its side. Easier than any other sled on the snow, and we love it for that. But it comes with two drawbacks that need to be mentioned. First, it's not light. The Summit X175 is not the lightest sled in this shootout. With that said, T-Motion does mask its weight very well, and as an added bonus, it rides excellent on rough trails. The second downside to the T-Motion system is that it can actually be difficult to get the sled to turn downhill during a side hill maneuver. Once the sled is on its side, it really does want to stay there. Ergonomically, I'd say the Summit is great, but it isn't perfect. The seat is small and unobtrusive, and the handlebars are at an excellent height. However, they seem to be a little bit on the narrow side. When it comes to features, the Summit is equally as sparse as the RMK with one exception. A non-existent wind deflector does look cool. Nice gauge package, Pilot DS skis. One of the most notable items missing from this list is a set of adjustable shocks. Skidoo's X-Package Summit comes with preload-only adjustable shocks, and we think this is a mistake. On the other hand, the Summit X is available with the industry's most innovative piece of new technology this season, the SHOT electric start system. SHOT uses the stator as an electric motor to start the engine. Power comes from an ultracapacitor and is capable of starting the engine 1 to 2 times max before it needs to be recharged with another 20 seconds of runtime. That it only comes with a 2-pound weight penalty. Electric start that only weighs 2 pounds. It's an ingenious design. It works, and we think it's a must-have on any Summit. Now that we better understand our two competitors, we need to figure out which of them is the best. And this isn't an easy undertaking. Last season's winner, the RMK 174, is still an outstanding mountain sled, and everything we liked about that sled, everything that made it great last year, is equally as great this year. The Summit is completely different this year, and anything we didn't like about last year's model has been improved. So let's see how they compare. In the motor department, things are close. Both of these sleds make awesome power all through the RPM range, but from a complete power package perspective, the win has to go to the 850. It has just a bit more jam thanks to a slightly higher displacement. It runs smoother, cleaner, and more efficiently thanks to its outstanding E-Tech injection system, and the P-Drive clutch allows the engine to run at its absolute peak at all times. From an overall chassis standpoint, which includes both the chassis and the ergonomics, both of these sleds are again excellent, but the win here definitely has to go to the Polaris. Ergonomically, it's the clear choice, but its rigid chassis is also light, tough, and makes for a nimble feeling sled. When it comes to handling, things get really difficult to decide. The Summit is easy to get and keep on its side, and it's not easily upset by changing snow conditions or rough sections underneath the snow. On the other hand, it can be difficult to get it to go down when you're carving a side hill. The RMK takes more effort to get and keep on its side, and it seems to be more easily upset by old tracks or hard patches in the snow, yet it's a little easier to get it to go where you want it to go. In this area, we're going to pick the Skidoo as the winner. It requires less rider input and less effort, and is therefore just generally an easier mountain sled to ride. In the suspension department, things again are difficult to decide. The Polaris has a way better shock package than the Skidoo, but the Skidoo actually rides better on rough trails. And so we have to decide what's more important, adjustability or ride quality. In the mountains, ride quality is much less important than having the ability to tune the sled's suspension to perform exactly how you want it to. So we're going to give this one to the Polaris. If Skidoo would put a more adjustable set of shocks on their high-end sleds, it probably would have won here. Now let's look at features. Between the two sleds, the features are very much the same. Low windshields, minimal storage, and mountain skis. But the Skidoo offers something not just the Polaris, but no other sled in the industry offers. Electric start without a weight penalty. At first glance, this may not seem as exciting as we're making it out to be, but I promise you, one morning on the mountain, and you'll be as impressed with SHOT as we are. This pushes the Skidoo ahead in the features category and gives it the category win here. The last area of comparison is more general, but is likely the most important category of all: overall rider experience. We really do like both of these sleds, and not just because they're the only 170 plus class sleds on the market. They are genuinely great mountain sleds to ride. They both have their own strong points when it comes to power, ergonomics, handling, and suspension, and they both have their own weak points as well. But at the end of the day, the sled that the majority of our crew agreed was the easiest and most fun to ride after all things are considered, the sled they would pick if they could pick either, was the Summit, which gives it a total of 4 category wins out of 6. The Polaris won 2 categories, and therefore the winner of this shootout is Skidoo's 2018 G4 Summit X 175. If you enjoyed that video, make sure you hit the like button and then subscribe to SnowTrax TV's YouTube channel that's constantly being updated with fresh content.